Good afternoon. This is Roy Priest. I'm the chair of the Montgomery County Housing Opportunities Commission. I want to welcome you all, both those in the audience and those on YouTube, to our September 13th, 2023 meeting. I'd like to start by introducing the members of the commission who are here. To my immediate left, Fran Kelleher, Vice Chair. To my immediate right, Jeffrey Merkowitz, Chair Pro Tem. Next to him is Commissioner Nelson, Rick Nelson. Next to him, Commissioner Robert Solomon. To my left, Commissioner Linda Kroon and Commissioner Pamela Bird. All the members of the commission are in fact present, so we have a full.
Let's say lower your mic a little bit. Just make sure we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Thank you, boss. I want to start by finding out are any modifications to the agenda that has been submitted. Seeing none, we will proceed with the first order of business with the information exchange. There were two persons who indicated they wanted to participate in this potential forum. Are those persons present? They are not present at the present time. So we will proceed to the next item on the agenda, which is a report of the executive director. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, members of the public, and the HOC team. It's great to see you all again. I'd like to provide an update on HOC activities during the month of August. Next slide. This month, we're going to highlight wonderful news related to our feature in the New York Times, give a quick update in regards to the strategic plan, provide some highlights from our Resident Services Division, updates from our Housing Resource Division, identify some real estate development activities, property management and maintenance update, as well as a mortgage finance update. Next slide. As I am certain this commission is aware, we are extremely proud of the fact that HOC was featured in the New York Times on August 25th. It's a wonderful article outlining our achievements, but quite frankly, also identifying us as being one of the innovative leaders in the field. This story has generated a lot of other follow-up stories by other media sources. Over 25 have carried the story, and there is definitely additional interest that has been spurred, so stay tuned. I want to highlight the fact that on our website, members of the public, if you haven't had an opportunity to read the article or to learn more about the Housing Production Fund, which was highlighted in this article, you can find more information on our website. Next slide. In regards to the strategic plan, we are moving along. As members of the public and the commission knows, we have really focused on ensuring that we had active and engaged customer and stakeholder engagement. And this slide reflects what that engagement looked like, including individual stakeholder interviews, surveys that went out to the general public, as well as our customers and our residents, as well as staff engagement. We had wonderful town halls, one virtual, one in public and in person in downtown Silver Spring. And we also held a series of focus groups from various particular groups to allow us to gain a better appreciation of their experiences. So overall, we've had an opportunity to engage with over 2,500 stakeholders, which we consider to be a huge success in terms of helping to guide us in our strategic planning process. Next slide. We started off by kicking off the strategic planning process in May, early June of this year, and engaged in our stakeholder engagement during the months of June and July. We are working with the board in regards to developing and fine-tuning our draft strategic plan with the hope of finalizing the strategic plan here in the fall. And then the next phase, the most important phase, will be the implementation action plan that will follow, along with an opportunity to share with the public as well as monitor how we're moving along with meeting our milestones identified in the plan. Next slide. In the month of August, our Resident Services Division was busy as always. There were a series of workshops that took place, including a resource sharing workshop, our Fundamentals of Housing workshop that happened every month. We also continue to work in partnership with the county in regards to our street outreach network at Cider Mill, and that continues to be a successful program. We also hosted an event at Plum Guard Recreation Center with our Summer of Peace initiative. Next slide. We had a series of pop-up events at various properties. As you can see on this slide, pictures from those events, from Tanglewood Apartments to our annual Back to School STEM Festival that was a great success on August 19th, as well as pop-up events at Stewarttown, Town Center, and Fenton Silver Spring. Next slide. Our resident services team put on a movie night that took place at Washington Square and hosted a tour, or excuse me, a field trip to the MoCo Agricultural Fair for our residents at Fenton Silver Spring. Next slide. Our seniors remain active with our wonderful partnership with Arts for the Aging. As you can see, there was a series of events that took place at multiple senior properties, as well as the health and wellness services that are provided for our seniors across our portfolio. Next slide. Our Services and Coordination and Programming Division focuses really on ensuring that our residents maintain their housing. That includes helping with recertification assistance, helping with making referrals, helping whenever we're doing renovations and need to move residents from different locations, and also ensuring that our residents remain timely and in compliance with our programs. During the month of August, there were over 83 residents who had not completed their recertifications that received support from our Resident Services Division. And we also continue to help our residents know about various rental assistance programs that are offered and make those referrals. Next slide. In the month of August, we provided resource to support over 400 residents and customers through our partnership with various nonprofits, and over 400 of our residents received food and other resources through those partnerships. And we coordinated a range of program activities to ensure our customers have an opportunity to reach their fullest potential. Some of those activities are identified here, including our partnership with University of Maryland School of Programming. Next slide. School of Nursing, excuse me. Next slide. HOC Academy had a number of summer camps over the summer, including a Mad Science STEM summer camp and a back to school festival that I shared that took place on August the 19th. Next slide. And we continue to have our adult education and workforce development ongoing in providing small business strategy courses and supporting the alumni who go through that program in their new business ventures. We do have one student who legalized her business, pods and patios, and is moving forward with her business plan. Next slide. Our financial literacy support includes us providing one-on-one financial literary coaching, as well as group workshops. And as you can see, we had over 12 individuals from the Housing Path wait list join us, as well as 21 customers in our program. I want to always emphasize that this is a resource that is available to everyone on our website. So if you are interested in taking advantage of this resource, please do go to our website, sign up for our newsletter, and sign up for these wonderful and complimentary resources that we offer. Next slide. Our supportive services division served over 358 participants doing home visits during the month of August, helping with case management services, wraparound services, helping them pay rent and get utilities covered, as well as continuing to provide support to those recipients from the emergency voucher program, and continuing to implement the rent supplement program, which provides a shallow subsidy of up to $600 a month to county residents. Next slide. Our fatherhood initiative is continuing to thrive and in fact was selected amongst over 100 applicants to be a part of the Fatherhood Ties program. This was a program that allows us to receive a grant and have additional resources and research done in terms of determining what best practices should be in place for fatherhood initiatives. And so we're excited that will launch in January of 2024. We'll provide more details as that comes along. And in the month of August, we graduated 35 fathers from our August cohort. Next slide. With the voucher program, we currently have 111 families that were issued vouchers and are searching for suitable units, and 155 contracts are pending. 200 families were selected from the wait list, and 10 requests for voucher extensions were granted beyond the initial 90-day period. Of those 10, 2 did warrant referrals to the Human Rights Commission and the Commission on Civil Rights for possible discrimination. Next slide. We are continuing to work through our full allocation of 118 emergency housing vouchers. We currently have 103 that have successfully leased units and 7 that are continuing to search for units and waiting for 3 additional referrals from our partner Health and Human Services to determine program eligibility. Next slide. Our family self-sufficiency program currently has 354 families enrolled. We are pleased to share that we have 20 new families that enrolled in the month of August, with 4 graduations occurring in August as well. And amongst the 4 graduates, earned income increased significantly, ranging from $22,000 to $63,668. So we are definitely seeing the fruits of the labor of our team and our staff with this program. And of course, congratulations to those graduates. Next slide. In the real estate world, we're pleased to share that on July 14th, our real estate division represented HOC in a joint tour of the South County Regional Recreational Aquatic Center and the Leggett with the Department of General Services and the Montgomery County Council Summer Fellows. And so you see photos of them touring the property and having an opportunity to engage and learn more about that project. Next slide. And we also began our early start work at Hillendale on July 24th. The CBG Building Group, the general contractor for Hillendale, was given notice to begin the early start work. Thank you, the commission, for supporting that. And a part of that included widening the road for Powder Mill Road, as well as preparing the site for vertical construction that we anticipate will commence in the springtime of 2024. Next slide. Pleased to share great news as it pertains to Stewarttown Homes. The project was selected and awarded the Platinum Excellence Award. This project was selected by ABC Greater Baltimore's Excellence in Construction program and will receive its award. We'll have representatives to receive that award on October the 12th. And so look forward to sharing photos as well as bringing that award in-house. And the Metropolitan Green Roof repair is going well. We're at the final stages. The CSI completed the repair of the concrete in phase 4 and will be installing the waterproofing this week. And once all the waterproofing is installed, they will perform a test to ensure that we have 0 leaks. But we are finally towards the end of that project. Next slide. And with that, I will open for questions and or comments from the board.
Any questions? I would just make a note to turn on my speakerphone that Hillendale, that I live in that area of the county and have driven past that site so many times. And I was there on Sunday for a program at the church nearby. And I looked over and saw the fence, and I saw the graphic panels around it. I said, oh, I really felt like, really changed my visual optics about about that site. It's really starting to happen. I even drove over there to look to make sure there wasn't just a sign there. So they really are doing some work there. So it was really good to see that.
Great.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'm going to go back to the first item on the agenda, the community forum. Is anyone present who was originally scheduled for that? We had two persons who had signed up, a Lauren Self and a Deborah Miller. Is one of the persons present in the room?
Yeah. Right.
And you are?
Deborah Miller.
Deborah Miller. You want to come forth and speak to the commission?
Hello there.
Welcome. Can you speak right into the microphone, please?
Yes, my name is Deborah Miller. I've been living in the county for 38 years. I've been on, I had get on, Section 8 with my 6 children. And however, I have had a hard time with these slumlords. They were like extorting money from people, especially this man in BJ Kuchwaha. He's a bit notorious. They HOC have his records on how his houses are slums. I have now mildew in my body and my lungs. I'll get the records to whoever you all want me to send you. I never had this. But however, a young girl come crying to me in 2013, October, as a matter of fact, saying that she had to get $7,000 together for this man, or she's gonna lose her house. Her house that she went, a slum house, water went all through her walls. He also put it on the children. He only went to people that and take that big SSI checks like she had for her kids and whatnot. And however, she told me that he want her to get $7,000 fine. I said, what? Yeah, he wanted me to get this, or I'm gonna lose my voucher. I said, go straight to landlord tenant and go see Mr. Alfred Thomas at Rockville City Hall, because I used to work for Rockville City Hall Community Services, and tell them what's going on. She said, you know, the white lady upstairs, up the street, Susan, with the yellow house across from 7-Eleven up there, that's one of his houses. Her husband just died. I said, yeah, really? From what? Well, I think it was cancer. I said, yeah, I used to see her walking around with McCain. You know, she stood up in landlord attorney court and said she's gonna get this man $18,000. He been waiting like for her husband to drop dead so he can get that woman's to give him all this money because she have a son that's mentally delayed, about 15 and a granddaughter. Okay. So I said, you just do what I told you. Go and talk to Rockville Community Services and tell me you want to see landlord tenant. I'm going to call up to social services and I'm going to see to it that this lady just shoved me away. Miss Tanya Carter, she still works there, housing stabilization and that writes the checks and everything for landlord tenant. I called Tanya. I said, Tanya, can you do me a favor? She said, yeah, what's going on, Miss Miller? She was good. I don't have time, none of that. I said, please go check your accounting office and see how many checks is going out on this man named BJ Kuchwaha. She said, okay, hold on. Meanwhile, I'm waiting. Because the girl told me a lot of people said they're not gonna pay him anything. Some said they'll give it to him 10, 12, 15,000, whatever he want. And a lot of people said they're going to social services to overwhelm the shelter system because they're not gonna give him what he wants. And that means other people gonna be out of shelter because he overwhelmed the shelter system. She come back and said, oh my God, we have a lot of checks going out on this man. Man, what is going on? I said, you sit tight. Because now I'm going to the federal state's attorney general at McCarthy's office. Yeah. And what have you. And that's what I did. I picked up the phone, I called, they put me on with
30
Robin Hill.
seconds left.
Yeah.
If I could,
And the landlords and the inspectors, the county inspectors and the HOC contractors, they are all in bed with these landlords. Yep. And they intimidate these women. I don't call the police for mine. Dave Laurie, he's another one. Yeah, that's how I got the mildew in my lungs now. And I gotta inhale it. I have time to break, but I can get you all my medical records to show you.
Ms. Miller, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Is there any immediate problem that you have that you want us to be able to listen to you about?
Yes, in my voucher, yeah, of course, I applied at Common Square, Amber Common Square apartment, and this lady deliberately said on my voucher, let it expire out. That was my last voucher and whatnot at Amber Square, West Deer Park. Yeah, she did. She let it expire out and whatnot. My daughter had to graduate a year or two now, late this year, June, because we was homeless and everything. And she finally got last year, got in Maryland University, got a dorm. But at least she graduated with 4.0 at that. The help we went through. And I'm going after her because I know they discriminated against me because Miss Killenberg from Landlord Tenant Affairs had the money and everything, my COVID money. This was February 2021. Every time I call this one, I get my records and show you. She never answers the phone for me. And I call on another friend's number. She picks up instantly right after I call her. Like she was tagging me or red flagging me or something. And now I didn't have a voucher no more. And I want my voucher back because I'm going to the Hill too about this. There needs to be some new laws about these dirty landlords that need to be kicked out of this system, how they treat people. And the landlords, like I say, and the county inspectors and the HOC contract inspectors, they're in bed together and they need to get out of that building on West Deer Park. Those contracting inspectors. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ms.
Now I
Miller.
got mildew in my lungs.
And I'm quite sure that a member of our staff will follow up with you if they have not already been talking with you. So again, I am glad to hear about your daughter being so successful graduating.
Yeah, under
and-
circumstances.
Yes, and we continue to work with you, okay?
I appreciate it, sir.
Okay, thank you
Mr.
for coming.
Priest. And I've been a trivia person to you. Like I told Robin Hill about how they was extorting money and making people homeless. He looked into it. Then I went to Philip Andrew when he's chairman then in October 2013, and he investigated this man. Now he got the company under his daughter's name because they went after him. He had a massive heart attack. I was trying to kill him. Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Miller, thank you.
I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank
If there were no questions to our executive director following her report, we will now proceed to the next item on the agenda, which is the Commissioners Exchange. Let me start that off by just indicating to the commissioners that on August 31st, I signed I'll call it an order, but it's not really order, about the structure of our committees for the commission. And we still have 3 committees for the commission, which are the administrative and regulatory, which is chaired by Commissioner Kelleher. The members of that committee are Commissioner Kroon and Commissioner Byrd. The Budget, Finance, and Audit Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Nelson. The members are Commissioner Merkowitz and Commissioner Kelleher. And Development and Finance Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Merkowitz. And also the members are Commissioner Nelson, and Salomon. So those are currently the structure of our committees, and we'll proceed with those committees as it relates to our future business going forward. So I just wanted to advise the commissioners that action has been taken. But also, all you all know that we have the NIRO conference scheduled in October, which is going to be held in New Orleans, Louisiana. Happens to be one of my absolute favorite places to visit, but I won't be able to attend because fortunately, my oldest granddaughter is getting married that day. And so I won't be there, and I understand that Commissioner Kroon is going to be going, and also our executive director will be going. So no one else has expressed any desire to go, but I've already gotten my order in for my beignets, so I'm okay. So are there any other discussions about the NIRO conference? They will certainly bring back any information that is relevant to the work that we are doing here with NIRO. Also, just to mention, and we'll take that up later, but I want to let you all know that I'm going to try to see if we can schedule very soon, within the next week, no more than 2 weeks, a meeting for us just to have an organizational meeting with the commissioners. And I will try to get that done in the next 2 weeks, okay? And I'll send out notices will come from you all about that, which may be initially a survey to find some best dates and for us to get together to talk about a number of things. Okay. Any other items that you all want to bring up? It sounds like you're interested in getting to the business of the day. So with that, I'll proceed with the next order of business, which is our approval of minutes. We have minutes for the July 12th, 2023 meeting, approval of minutes for the closed session on July 12th, 2023, and also approval of the minutes for August the 14th strategic planning meeting. Can I get a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved. I'll second.
Probably moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion is carried unanimously. We will now get into our committee reports and recommendations. Our first committee report will be from our Administrative and Regulatory Committee, chaired by Commissioner Kelleher.
Thank you so much. Our committee has actually been busy. We have been working with staff regarding the adoption of a new type of vouchers, which HUD has offered us 25 of in their first round of them. They are called stability vouchers, and they are targeted towards people who are homeless, who are victims of domestic abuse of any kind, or other people who are at risk of immediate homelessness. And it's great to get them. Obviously, these are people who we want to serve. You will see and hear in a minute how complicated and how different the process is for those. And so we held a public hearing, as is required to change the administrative plan, and had a committee meeting at which the committee was very favorable towards this full commission endorsing these. So I'd like to invite Executive Director Andrews to introduce the information about these new special vouchers.
Thank you, Madam Committee Chair. This is something that we are happy to advance and pleased to advance to the board. It allows us an opportunity to serve some of the most vulnerable members of our community. In addition to the special populations that Commissioner Kelleher identified, also targets veterans and requires a great deal of adjustment in terms of our policies and procedures so that we can reduce the barriers of entry to gain access to this resource. I will turn it over to Lynn Hayes, who will provide an update in regards to this particular matter and seek your support.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioner. If you could advance to the next slide, please. For the record, I'm Lynn Hayes, Director of the Housing Resources Division. Thank you. Did you hear me? Yes, thank you. The Department of Housing and Urban Development awarded the Housing Opportunities Commission 25 stability vouchers made available through the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021. Applicants eligible to receive stability vouchers must be an individual or family who is homeless, at risk of homelessness, fleeing or attempting to flee domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, or human trafficking, and veterans and families that include a veteran family member that meet one of the preceding criteria. The continuum of care, the local planning body responsible for coordinating the full range of homeless services, is responsible for referring eligible applicants to the Housing Opportunities Commission and verifying that the applicant meets one of the 4 eligibility categories. The Department of Health and Human Services is the designated continuum of care for Montgomery County. If we could advance to the next slide, please. And actually one more. Thank you. HOC must enter into a memorandum of understanding with the continuum of care to establish a partnership to pair stability vouchers with continuum of care funded supported services. HOC is required to apply mandatory alternative waivers in the administration of the stability voucher program as identified on page 37 of this presentation. Next slide. Additionally, staff recommend that HOC adopt 8 discretionary policies identified on page 38 of the document. The required mandatory and permissive requirements will be added to the HOC administrative plan contingent on approval from the Board of Commissioners. As part of the process for making revisions to the administrative plan, public comment is required. Notice of the 30-day public comment period and a public hearing was published on August 2nd, 2023. The public hearing was held on September 5th, 2023. Additionally, staff received endorsement from the Resident Advisory Board regarding the proposed policy and changes to the administrative plan. In closing, the Stability Voucher Program is designed to promote a community-wide commitment to the goal of ending homelessness while promoting access to mainstream programs for our most vulnerable individuals and families. And at this time, I'll address any questions that you have.
Questions? Just a question. I know that these 25 were assigned to us for continuing care. What do you know what the rule was for how to determine the allocation of those special purpose?
They looked at the point in time data from January 2020 to see that data and the number of homeless and allocated awards based on that information.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was really almost really in the early days of the pandemic. And so those numbers are really very different today than they
Right.
were in 2020.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell me, you got each of 200,000.
Right.
Okay.
I'm hopeful that this is the camel's nose under the tent. By creating these new vouchers, they can then add to them in the future and begin to meet more of this need.
Any other questions?
If there are no other questions, then I move that we adopt resolution 2348.
I second.
It's been probably moved and seconded to approve resolution 2348. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So ordered. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
And the next item on the agenda is the Budget, Finance, and Audit Committee, chaired by Commissioner Nelson.
Good afternoon. The first item on your Budget, Finance, and Audit Committee is the county FY 25 to 30 capital improvement program budget recommendation to the county. I will refer the opening of this item to our Executive Director, Chelsea Andrews.
Thank you, Mr. Committee Chair, and I just want to remind you all to use the green light. I think Chair Priest, your light wasn't on earlier, so just want to make sure we're doing that. This is a matter in which we, of course, continue to come before the board to seek support for our request that goes to the county for their ongoing support of our capital programs. As you will see outlined in the memo and will be provided by our finance team, we are seeking the support for ongoing allocations, our current allocations, as well as continuing to budget for our revolving accounts and provide resources towards the capital improvements needed in our scattered sites. I will turn it over to our finance team led by Tim Getzinger and our budget officer, Terry Fowler, to provide additional details.
Thank you, Executive Director Andrews. Good afternoon, Commission. Executive Director Andrews introduced this item very well. We did discuss this with the BFNA earlier this month, and we did make some modifications to clarify the packet and to be able to address some of the committee's questions. And with that, Terry will provide the details, but I hope that the amended packet, was good.
Thank you, Executive Director. And it's going to take a moment. Good afternoon, Commissioner Priest and the members of the commission. This, as was mentioned, this is the capital improvements program budget for fiscal years 25 through 30 through the county. This is a 6-year plan that is updated biannually. It was due by September 7th, but staff has requested and received approval to submit after the deadline to allow for commission approval at this meeting. The submission total is $88,127,000, and that continues funding in our current projects of $85,627,000. It's important to understand that the majority of this funding is for revolving funds and not direct grants to HOC. It continues to give us access to our current level of revolving funds through the MPDU Property Acquisition Fund, the Opportunity Housing Development Fund, and the County Guaranteed Bond Project. In addition, we're asking that they continue our annual support level of $1.25 million in supplemental funds for our deeply subsidized HOC and affiliate-owned units. We also have 2 projects that are expected to close this year. That is the WSSC sewer and storm line improvements at Elizabeth House that were completed and final billing is in process, and the Elizabeth House demolition that is expected to be completed by mid-2024. The additional funds requested are to add 2 years for fiscal year 29 and 30 respectively of annual funding of $1.25 million for the supplemental funds for our scattered site affordable units. The Budget Finance and Audit Committee did review this request at its meeting on September 6th and joint staff recommendation that the commission authorize the submission of the county FY 25 to 30 capital improvements budget totaling $88,127,000. And I'd be happy to address any questions you may have.
If there are no questions, I will say that the BFNA committee did in fact discuss this and is appreciative of the opportunity to get these funds from the county to add to our toolbox so that we can continue the work of HOC. And with that, I would move to approve resolution 23-49.
I'll second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve resolution 23-49. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Resolution is approved unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the recommendation to select a new firm, the Gilson Housing Partners, as the independent contractor for conducting housing quality standard inspections for our voucher program. I'll turn it over to Director Andrews.
Thank you, Mr. Committee Chair. As the board is aware, HUD requires housing authorities to conduct inspections of our voucher units as well as throughout our portfolio, our own property as well. And this is a critical step in ensuring that our residents are residing in high quality housing. And it requires a great deal of coordination and communication between both ourselves, our contractor, residents, as well as landlords. And in that engagement also requires a high level of customer service. And so those are some of the key components of ensuring that we have the right fit to provide this resource to us. I will turn it over to Lynn Hayes, Director of Housing Resources, to provide more information related to this request.
Thank you, Director Andrews. Good afternoon again. For the record, Lynn Hayes. HOC is required to conduct housing quality standard inspections for all housing choice voucher families prior to executing a housing assistance payment contract and annually throughout the term of the assistant tenancy. HOC currently contracts with an independent company to perform our housing quality standard inspections. The contract expires at the end of this month. Program regulations regarding housing quality standards, or HQS, can be found at Title 24, Part 982 of the Code of Federal Regulations. Currently, HQS consists of 13 key aspects which are applicable to all housing types. We conduct approximately 18,000 inspections annually. Staff issued a request for proposal for qualified firms to perform various residential inspections consisting of HQS, Inspire, lead-based paint, and radon inspections. Inspire is the national standards for the physical inspection of real estate, and these inspection criteria will be replacing HQS effective October 1st of this year. However, housing authorities have 1 year to implement these new regulations. The Inspire model prioritizes the health and safety and functional defects over safety. It implements inspections that better reflect the true physical conditions of the property. Staff recommend that the commission authorize the executive director to negotiate a contract with Gilson Housing Partners to conduct housing quality standard inspections for the Housing Choice Voucher Program and residential inspections for HOC owned properties. Staff are further requesting approval for an initial contract term of 2 years with 2 1-year renewal increments and the contract award in the amount of $865,500. We could go to the next slide, please. HOC's procurement office issued a request for proposal on May 19th, 2023, with a requested due date of June 22nd, 2023. The RFP was distributed to 244 vendors. A pre-proposal conference was held virtually on May 31st, 2023. 6 firms attended the conference. The scope of work outlined in the RFP includes conducting various inspection types along with the associated administrative tasks that go hand in hand with the inspections. The scoring team viewed presentations from the top four scoring companies who scored a minimum points of 75 or higher out of 100 points. The criteria for the RFP included the experience of the company or organization, the methodology that they will use to complete the work outlined in the scope, the staffing and management plan, if the organization or firm is a Section 3 or minority small business, and the price. Next slide. We received 6 proposals in response to the RFP. Respondents earned scores between 23 and 94 points, with Gilson Partners receiving the highest score. Gilson simplifies the inspection process through the use of cutting-edge technology while providing accurate information and enhanced customer service. Gilson will dedicate 12 staff for this engagement, with the flexibility to add additional staff as required. In addition, the managers for this contract have worked in the industry for over 30 years and are HUD REACT certified inspectors. 2 of the principals worked in the industry for a long time and worked to help develop the Inspire standards. Gilson provided the most competitive pricing and was the lowest bidder. Staff recommend to select Gilson Housing Partners. At the Budget, Finance, and Audit meeting on September 6, 2023, we received some questions at that meeting. In response to the questions, staff has confirmed that Inspire will be effective on October 1st, 2023. However, we have 1 year to implement those new requirements. Additionally, we confirmed that HUD will publish an administrative notice to implement the Inspire regulations prior to October 1st, 2023. The notice will provide additional information about implementing the Inspire inspection protocol for the Housing Choice Voucher Program. We will work with the new company to notify our landlords of the new criteria prior to implementation. We will review how the Inspire criteria aligns with Chapter 26 of the Montgomery County Code for inspections, while ensuring a smooth transition between the current inspection company and the new inspection company. Next slide. The slides I don't think are moving. There's no budget impact for this award. We have budgeted a significant amount of money to cover this award. And at this time, I will address any questions.
Are there any questions?
I don't have any questions, but it's a pretty significant number. I didn't realize we had 18,000 inspections a year. I mean, that breaks down to almost about 1,200 inspections per month. Somewhere in that neighborhood, 1,500 inspections a month. And with 12 inspectors, they're gonna be pretty busy.
Yes, this also includes a number for the HOC portfolio for the radon and lead-based paint that we anticipate.
All right.
But I would also say that was one of the reasons that the committee was talking about the new standard, Inspire. We want to make sure that our landlords fully understand what the new requirements are, because this whole inspection process is one that causes a lot of concern among landlords, among tenants, and among auditors. So we have to be very careful in terms of beginning to implement this and ensure that everyone is on board. If there are no other questions, I'll move approval of resolution 23-50.
I'll second.
It's been probably moved and seconded to approve resolution 23-50. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no other business for the Budget, Finance, and Audit. We will now move to the Development and Finance Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Merkowitz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I will turn it over to Executive Director Andrews to discuss. I think our first item has to do with the potential sale of our property at 8800 Brookville Road.
Thank you, Mr. Committee Chair. Commissioners, this matter relates to the recommended disposition of an industrial property that is owned by HOC located at 8800 Brookville Road. This property was initially purchased by the commission in consideration of a potential larger redevelopment of that area, which did not occur. The property is zoned for industrial use and is surrounded by other industrial related properties. We received an unsolicited advantageous offer to purchase the property that will afford HOC an opportunity to generate revenue and avoid future losses. I will turn it over to the real estate team led by Zachary Marks, Chief Real Estate Officer, as well as our Director of Development, Marcus Irvin, to provide more information related to this matter.
Thank you. Thank you, Executive Director Andrews. For the record, Marcus Irvin, Director of Development here at HOC. Today I'm here to discuss an agenda item that involves a potential sale of property located at 8800 Brookville Road in Silver Spring, Maryland. Specifically, we're seeking approval to execute a letter of intent, negotiate and subsequently negotiate and execute a purchase and sale agreement with the Donahoe companies. To provide context for this decision, I'll ask that you advance the slides to page 81 of your brief book. As mentioned by Director Andrews, this 10-acre parcel was acquired by the commission in December of 18 for approximately $10 million, envisioning future redevelopment in accordance with the Littonsville sector plan. We also explored a potential land swap with WSSC last year, but unfortunately that opportunity did not come to fruition. The interested party is the Donahoe companies, a highly respected developer based out of Montgomery County. They've expressed interest in purchasing this property. Their expertise spans various sectors of the real estate industry. They currently have an active project adjacent to our property, and they control the property around where our Brookville Road property is located, which also has industrial uses. The intended use upon acquisition, the Donahoe companies intend to incorporate additional industrial uses onto this property. This does align seamlessly with the surrounding industrial zones. It's also essential to note that residential is not permitted per the zoning code. And this restriction was reaffirmed during the 2017 sector plan, emphasizing industrial zoning on the site. In terms of financial details, Donahoe companies have proposed a competitive offer of $14.5 million, accompanied by an earnest money deposit. While they aim to complete the transaction in 9 months, and during that time period, seek planning and zoning approval for industrial uses, which is through the standard method. The LOI would not be contingent on them receiving that approval. Both parties believe that the purchase and sale agreement can be drafted and executed within a 45-day period. There's also additional terms on when their deposit will become non-refundable, which since direction of the Development Finance Committee, staff believes that we've reached a much more favorable timeline for those amendments. Staff recommendation, we recommend that the commission approve our recommendation to authorize the executive director to execute a letter of intent with the Donahoe companies for the sale of 8800 Brookville Road and proceed with negotiating and executing a purchase and sale agreement for the aforementioned property. The recommendation aligns with the guidance and support provided by the Development and Finance Committee that met on September 1st with a specific focus on expediting the transaction closing time frame. And this leverages a valuable opportunity for the commission. I'll conclude there and ask if you have any questions for us.
Hi, Mark. I just have 2 questions. I wanted to know, did we buy this property for 10 million? Is that right?
That's correct, 10 million.
Okay. We bought this property for 10 million. When?
December 2018.
2018. Why did we buy it? Why did we approve it?
Yes, it was originally part of a plan in conjunction with WSSC. Across the street. There is the maintenance depot, the Downtown County Maintenance Depot for WSSC. And at the time, we had gotten an indication from WSSC that they were interested in having a new depot built for them in a more appropriate location in order to free up the 10 acres across the street, which is zoned for mixed use, is zoned for residential, is at the future Purple Line stop across the street from Purple Line stop. So on that confidence, we moved forward and purchased the property as a relocation property for the maintenance depot.
Okay, and one more question. In the Donahoe company, if that's right, they want to sell it. We want we're gonna get 14? 14.5.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think when we bought it, we anticipated if we had to sell it, we would probably make more than we paid for it. We had that discussion back in 2018. Just for the record, let me make one correction to your narrative. The Development Finance Committee recommended that you consider in your negotiations shortening the time frame. We didn't direct it.
Thank you, Commissioner House.
Are there any additional questions? If there are no additional questions, then I will move that the commission approve resolution 2351.
Commissioner Bertman, second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve resolution 23-51. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed is nay. So ordered. Resolution is approved unanimously.
The next item on our agenda has to do with Hillendale Gateway, and I will turn that over to Executive Director Andrews.
Thank you, Mr. Committee Chair. Commissioners, every time we present information related to our next steps with Hillendale Gateway, we have a level of excitement over how this property will transform the East County in so many ways. It will be one of the first developments in quite some time, a major multifamily investment, and also allow for us to shine very bright as it pertains to the improvements that we will make on this property related to environmental advancement. We are taking step by step, and I am now going to turn it over to our real estate team, Catherine Hollister, Housing Acquisition Manager, to provide additional details. And this is a pretty lengthy request, so bear with us, but it allows us to continue with our forward progress. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Catherine Hollister. I'm a Housing Acquisition Manager in the Real Estate Division. Staff is requesting that the Commission join staff's recommendation, which is supported by the Development and Finance Committee, to approve Hillendale Gateway's final development plan and transaction structure. There are a number of items within each of these elements. To summarize it, as part of the final development plan, staff is recommending that the Commission approved to negotiate the Executive Director to negotiate and execute a guaranteed maximum price amendment with CBG Building Company, and approval of an interior designer and FF&E budget. As part of the transaction structure, staff is recommending approval to create a condominium regime, approval to create new tax credit entities, approval of a LIHTC syndicator and construction lender, and approval to accept construction financing sources. Page 89 of your packet provides background on the Hillendale Gateway development. Hillendale Gateway will be a visionary new mixed-use, mixed-income, intergenerational community located on the site of Holly Hall Apartments. It will contain 463 units in 2 residential buildings, one a 155-unit net zero energy age-restricted senior building, the other a 308-unit passive house non-age restricted multifamily building. The development will also have above-ground parking, commercial retail restaurant space, and public and private green space. Page 90 of your packet discusses the development highlights. Hillendale Gateway is a hallmark development that incorporates a number of agency, county, and state priorities, many of which are listed here. Notably, Hillendale will set new benchmarks in terms of sustainable and resilient development in the Mid-Atlantic. It will also create a vibrant community that will serve as a catalyst for broader economic transformation in Eastern Montgomery County. Page 91 of your packet highlights many of our partners for this ambitious project. The development team has engaged experts from across the country to help make our ambitious goals for Hillendale Gateway a reality. Page 92 of your packet provides a quick snapshot of some of the development numbers. On the slide, I want to highlight the development's affordability. Hillendale Gateway will provide a full spectrum of affordability, both site-wide and within each residential building, by providing units that range from deeply affordable to market rate. Page 93 of your packet discusses the final construction budget for Hillendale Gateway. At the January 2023 Commission meeting, staff recommended and the Commission approved a 2-phase contract with Hillendale Gateway's general contractor, CBG Building Group, for the construction of Hillendale Gateway. The first phase, known as the early start phase, allows for a limited scope of construction to proceed prior to full construction closing. And the second phase, known as the vertical construction phase, would establish the guaranteed maximum price for the project and allow for the vertical construction to proceed. At the January 2023 meeting, the commission approved the early start phase of the GC contract at an amount not to exceed 11.5 million. The early start construction phase is underway currently and is anticipated to be completed on or under budget. The GMP amendment budget as of August 14th, 2023, shown on this slide, represents the total construction contract amount for the project and includes the early start and vertical phases of construction. Specifically, it includes all hard costs to construct the residential buildings, parking garage, site improvements, and transportation improvements. Vertical retail construction costs are carried under additional construction costs on page 99 of your packet. The August 2023 GMP budget represents $650,000 savings from the GMP budget that staff presented the commission in September 2022. Staff recommends that the commission authorize the executive director to negotiate and execute a GMP amendment in an amount not to exceed $189 million, which provides a 5% contingency over this August 2023 GMP budget amount of $180 million. Page 94 of your packet shows the construction schedule for Hillendale Gateway. At the top of the slide are the early start construction milestones, and at the bottom of the slide are the vertical construction milestones. Based on the current project schedule, Hillendale Gateway is anticipated to reach substantial completion in August 2026. Page 95 of your packet discusses staff's recommendation regarding approval of an interior design and FF&E budget for the project. HOC's procurement office issued a request for proposals for interior design and furniture, fixture, and equipment acquisition services for Hillendale Gateway in June 2023. HOC received responsive proposals from 3 firms. Proposals were scored by a scoring committee comprising of real estate and risk management staff based on 4 scoring criteria outlined on this slide, and respondents earned scores between 60 and 81 points. Scoring was extremely competitive in 3 out of the 4 scoring categories. All 3 respondents are MFD firms and have demonstrated experience performing these services for projects of similar size and scope. The biggest factor in this difference in scoring was in the price category. Staff recommends selecting Market 9 Design to provide interior design and FF&E services for Hillendale Gateway, and to authorize the executive director to negotiate a contract with Market 9 in an amount up to $253,000, which includes an HOC held contingency in the event additional services are required. Additionally, staff recommends approving a hard cost FF&E budget for Hillendale Gateway in the total amount of $2.5 million, which is the hard cost of the furniture, fixtures, and equipments that will be installed within all the residential amenity spaces within the AR and NAR buildings. Pages 96 and 97 of your packet illustrate the proposed ownership structure for Hillendale Gateway. Given the mixed use, mixed income, multi-generational nature of the development, and to optimize financing strategies, staff recommends the creation of a condominium regime for the Hillendale Gateway development. This is an ownership and financing strategy that HOC utilizes in many of its developments. Specifically, staff is recommending the creation of 2 tax credit limited liability companies that will sublease and own condos consisting of 155 LIHTC units within the AR building and 93 LIHTC units with the NAR building, respectively. These tax credit LLCs are described in more detail on page 97. Creation of these, if you go to the next slide, great. Creation of these tax credit condos is important because they enable Hillendale Gateway to utilize low-income housing tax credits and investment tax credits for the construction and permanent financing of the affordable units in the AR and NAR buildings. Additionally, as part of the proposed ownership structure, staff recommends the selection of Wells Fargo Community Lending and Investment as the tax credit investor for both the AR and NAR LIHTC condos. Not only did Wells Fargo provide the highest tax credit equity pricing of 93 cents, it provided LOIs for both the AR and NAR LIHTC condos. Having the same investor on both LIHTC transactions is hugely beneficial to streamlining this complex transaction and reducing transactional costs. Wells Fargo has been the investor on a number of previous HOC developments, including Residences on the Lane, Fenton Silver Spring, and Metro Point. Page 98 of your packet discusses the operating pro forma for the overall development and represents the projected combined stabilized operations for the overall transaction. Total operating expenses are in line with CDA's LIHTC underwriting guidelines. The real estate division is working with mortgage finance and asset management divisions to finalize these operating assumptions, which will be more fully presented as part of the final finance plan, which will be presented to the commission later this fall. Page 99 of your packet shows the sources and uses for the development. Uses for the transaction include all hard costs, soft costs, and financing fees related to the development. Staff is proposing that sources for the transaction include senior financing from Citibank or City Community Capital, HOC equity, tax credit equity, county HIF, HPF, and Montgomery County Green Bank financing. Regarding the senior construction loan, staff received multiple LOIs from third-party construction lenders. City Community Capital provided the most beneficial terms for the overall transaction and was the only lender to provide LOIs for all components of the transaction. Staff is finalizing details on the optimal loan structure with City and will present those details as part of the Hillendale Gateway's final financing plan. At this time, the projected total HOC equity to balance the construction period sources and uses is $10.95 million. Page 100 breaks out the residential components of the project from the retail and site work components of the development. Hillendale Gateway is a large 5-acre development site and has unique transportation improvements that are required for the project. When breaking out these costs, the residential per unit development cost is closer to $600,000 per unit. Additionally, on page 101, we provide further analysis comparing Hillendale Gateway's residential per unit cost to that of two other HOC developments, the Leggett and the Laureate. Note that the costs for the Leggett and the Laureate included in the top chart are untrended and do not reflect inflation or cost escalations that have occurred since these deals closed in 2019 and 2021 respectively. Even without trended costs, Hillendale's costs are on par with these two developments on a residential per unit basis, except in 3 areas: construction costs, construction period interest, primarily due to the current high interest rate environment, and developer fee, primarily due to the extra developer fee that HOC is able to earn on the 2 LIHTC components of the Hillendale Gateway transaction. When looking at construction costs and when construction costs are trended for the Leggett and the Laureate, Hillendale Gateway ends up right in the middle of these 2 other deals in terms of residential per unit costs. The trended costs are shown in the chart to the right. Finally, pages 102 and 103 provide the summary and recommendations for this item.
I'll ask, but you know, as the executive director said, you know, we remain very enthusiastic about this project. So are there any questions?
I have a question. I have a question on the construction costs as to where the parking lot construction falls within all of this. I know it's going to be a very high-tech parking lot that will allow 50 parking spaces for electric vehicles. And from what I learned at the Affordable Housing Conference, they may actually wire all of them to be capable of future electric vehicles. Is that at all part of the difference in cost? Because I don't know that we have parking lots factored in with these other buildings here that could be adding to the costs. I don't know. I'm just asking.
So the parking garage costs are included in the residential costs. There is parking at the Laureate. I don't think that there's parking at the Leggett, or very little. So that is including the parking costs. And again, if you just take that construction contract and trend it, we're still in the middle, even with that. The parking garage will have 75 EV charging stations.
75, not 50.
But as you're correct, that it'll be wired to be 100% EV in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions? If not, I will make a motion that the commission approve resolutions 2352A and 2352B.
Been seconded?
Right.
Been probably moved and seconded to approve resolution 23-52A and 2352-B. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So ordered, approved unanimously for both resolutions 2352A and 52B.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, commissioners.
The next item on our agenda is at a very different stage of development, and that is the Leggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will just say that the enthusiasm continues with this project, especially as we begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel here. And so this project is referring to the Leggett as well as the South County Regional Recreation and Aquatic Center. As you all know, we are nearing the ending stages and we need to finalize a number of change orders to get to completion. This particular matter relates to a request for a small bridge loan to allow us to see that successful closure of this project. I do highlight in our packet and our materials that the Leggett is well under its way in terms of leasing up, and our hope is that by the fall that we will have the opening of the SCRAC. I will turn it over to our real estate team to provide additional details. I believe Marcus Irvin, Director of Development, will provide this update.
Yes, thank you, Director Andrews. Once again, for the record, Marcus Irvin, Director of Development, here to present this item. So good afternoon, Commissioners. Today we're here to discuss two critical projects that play a pivotal role in HOC's community development, rounding out of the Elizabeth Square Master Plan. The Leggett and also the South County Regional Recreational Aquatic Center, known as the SCRAC. Our immediate goal is to secure approval for additional contingency funding to ensure the successful completion of the SCRAC and also closing out the Leggett by year end. For context, these projects are not just bricks and mortar, they are essential community assets. The Leggett is a 267 unit age-restricted housing community designed to address the housing shortage for seniors. The SCRAC, with its expansive recreational healthcare facilities, including Holy Cross, promises to become a central hub for our community, fostering health and well-being. From a financial perspective, these visionary projects are being funded through a diverse portfolio totaling about $124 million. The financing strategy included a lot of the creative sources, included bridge loans, low-income housing tax credits, and HOC equity. In the present day, the Leggett, currently we're at about 60% leased up. We have successfully relocated all of the existing seniors at the adjacent Elizabeth house, and that property is in pre-demolition activities, which should be demolished by year end. For the SCRAC, from an infrastructure and ongoing construction perspective, significant progress has been made with the gymnasium, common areas, the plaza, and the swimming pool. There's ongoing construction for intricate features, including parts of the competition pool and other components within the building. It's important to recognize that these projects are not standalone endeavors, but integral parts of a larger master plan development. We're actively coordinating with multiple stakeholders, including Holy Cross Health, the Department of General Services, DGS, each of whom has specific demands and deliverables. This layered complexity of these projects present its own set of challenges that HOC is addressing and the team. Due to these unique challenges posed by the pandemic and the intricate nature of these developments, we've encountered some delays and incurred additional costs. For the SCRAC, there's change orders and design intricacies, which have necessitated an additional approximate $3.5 million. And for the Leggett, additional costs and line item adjustments requiring up to $2 million. To address these financial challenges, we're proposing a draw on $3 million from the PNC real estate line of credit to replenish the contingency for the SCRAC portion, and drawing up to $2 million from the PNC revolving line of credit to replenish the contingency for the Leggett. It's important to note that these interim draws will not impact HOC's FY24 budget, as they'll be reimbursed by permanent proceeds from the Leggett, which staff will return closer to the end of the year with a reconciliation on or about that time. Staff recommendation: in light of these challenges and requirements outlined, we recommend that the commission authorize a draw up to $3 million from the PNC line of credit to replenish the contingency for the SCRAC, and a draw of up to $2 million from the PNC real estate line of credit to replenish the contingency for the Leggett. Thank you for your time and attention, and take any questions you may.
Are there any questions from the board? Then, Mr. Chair, I will just say that the committee did review this and supported the staff's recommendation. So I will make a motion that the commission approve resolutions 2353A 2353B, and 2353C.
I second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve resolutions 2353A, 2353B, and 2353C. All in favor of that motions signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. So ordered. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Before, if I could, because we're getting near the end of our agenda, Marcus Irvin, we know is going to be leaving this agency. And I want to take a moment, Marcus, just to say thank you from this commission for all of the outstanding work that you have done on behalf of the commission. You know, I have always been impressed with the quality of your presentations and with your grasp of the information, very detailed about all the projects we've seen. And you have been the project person on so many of our signature projects. And you have simply brought them to the commission. We haven't always had a comfortable conversation, but we've always been able to resolve our differences in an affirming way and come out with a better project. And so I want to thank you for the work that you have provided to the staff and commission, which has been outstanding. I want to wish you well in your new endeavors, and sorry to see you leaving. But thank you very much for all your work. Let's give him a big hand. With that, there's no other business to come before the commission. I will simply accept the motion for adjournment. Do we have a closed meeting?
Closing statement.
I thought we had. Okay. Pursuant to section 3-305B and D of the General Provisions Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, I move to adopt a written closing statement dated September the 13th, 2023, and to recess this open session to enter into a closed session to discuss.
That's my fault. I pointed to the wrong.
That's what we have. It's one of the folder.
I don't have any.
There you go. Yeah.
Back up and reverse.
Yeah, it's in the folder.
Okay. Pursuant to section 30305B and D of the General Provisions Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, I move to adopt the written closing statement dated September 13th and to adjourn this open session to a closed session to discuss 3 topics. The first topic is the potential acquisition of real property located in Rockville. The second and third topics concern 2 matters that may result in litigation being filed against HOC. The first topic is being discussed in closed session in order to protect HOC's ability to negotiate with third parties and to protect confidential commercial and financial information provided to HOC by a third party. The statutory sections that allow this topic to be discussed in a closed session are section 3-305B3 and 3-305B13. The second and third topics are being discussed in closed session in order to protect HOC's attorney-client privilege and its other interests in the potential litigation. The statutory sections that allow this topic to be discussed in a closed session are section 3-305B7, 3-305B8, and 3035B13. If a member of the public that's watching this meeting in real time on YouTube wishes to object to the closed meeting, please comment in the YouTube chat box or contact HOC's General Counsel. Instructions can be found in the Open Meetings Act objection procedures, which is posted on HOC's website. Do I have a second?
I second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So ordered. I thought we were ending this meeting.
No sense left.
Thank you.